Welcome back to the Out of the Rough podcast. My name is Nate, and as always, is joining me is my co-host Jake. Jake, how are we doing today?
Nate, we're doing pretty good. We had the likes of Justin Rose absolutely dominate from start to finish on the PGA Tour. It's always nice to see Rosie with some success. Not from the betting perspective from either of us, but just overall super impressive golf from start to finish from Justin Rose at that age. Just have to tip your cap. Great to see, great for the game of golf, but really just he dominated. It was awesome. And then on the DP World Tour, we had some theatrics. We had a three-way playoff. Patrick Reed has been just insane form, but Nate, tough for you here. Freddie Shot gets his first win. No cigar on him, but good to see the young guy with some success. Maybe he could build off of it, and we can get a winner on him in the future.
Yeah, like you said, Justin Rose with just pure dominance over there at Torrey Pines from wire to wire. We don't see many wire to wire victories anymore, and that was one of those in the most dominant fashions. And yeah, like I said, it's good to see and love to see those type of guys get it done still in the PGA Tour. I remember 2 years ago or 3 years ago at this point where he won and Jason Day won in the same season. It's kind of reminiscing in of our early days of golf watching and whatnot. So good to see there. And of course, I've mentioned it there, the DP World Tour. Freddie Shaw got his first victory, a guy I've wasted a lot of money on over the years, or I guess the year last year since he was kind of new to the scene. But either way, no wins to report on. We went to a playoff with Andrew at Altor Golf Bets on the SDC Open for the Hotel Planet Tour, just out of nowhere. It was another event where there was a clear leader and then blew it and then got into a playoff with Dion. I don't know how to say his last name, but took it there and ultimately too little, too late, I guess, and playoff didn't go our way. But good to be there. Again, just tip your hat to Justin Rose in that event. But at this point, we move forward. You mentioned it. Not much to talk about the betting standpoint there, but we have one of the fan favorites, right? The WM Phoenix Open this week. This is kind of if you're not into golf but slightly into golf, this is kind of the event that you gravitate towards, right? The party atmosphere, the 80 plus thousand people per day at TPC Scottsdale and all of that. So again, if you are someone trying to persuade one of your friends to get into golf, this may be the week to have them tune in and watch, the stadium par three and all of that, and the music and the partying and all of that. People do enjoy this event for that. Some people don't like the event because of that, but I think it's a nice change of pace. And to me, it kind of officially or unofficially kicks off the start of the year. I know I talked about this last week, Jake, where this kind of feels like it's the first event that I know the other ones mean something, but we're starting to get the bigger guys in here next week with for Pebble Beach. We'll have the full like the Europeans will be here as well, but this kind of feels like the official kickoff of the season, especially with the Century not happening this season. But before we do hop into things that also we're at the Guitar Masters and on the DP World Tour. We'll talk about both those tournaments here shortly. But before we do have other things, Jake, we're putting on social media.
Yep, you can find me at Jake OOTR on X. I post all my outright betting cards there, so be sure to give me a follow. You could also join the Out of the Rough Discord, which is completely free to join, no hidden paywalls. A community of 250 plus members, ranging from golf fanatics to professional gamblers, all contributing valuable insight that makes the Discord a super powerful resource to have at your fingertips for completely zero cost. Nate runs a dedicated community wager tracker channel in the Discord. He compiles everyone's weekly picks into an organized list. Nate has circumvented the non-tagging by making multiple posts now, so be on the lookout for that. You will be tagged if you put your posts in there or your picks in there. It's a great way to see who the community is backing and ultimately congratulate people who hit a winner. Nate and I also share some exclusive content in there. I have my matchup plays. Nate plays some first round leader bets in there, so also be sure to check that out. Feel free to reach out to Nate or myself to get the link to join that. And be sure to check out ootrough.com, where Nate and I post our weekly articles. Also, Nate has a great resource on there for strokes gained putting by grass type, another completely free resource to have at your fingertips. Just go to the website, check on that tab in there, and it's at your disposal, completely free.
Yeah, on that website, I post weekly articles for the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, LPGA, and Live Golf, each and every event of the entire season. At least, fingers crossed, that's the hope this year, right? To do all four of those tours season long. Also, you can find Andrew at All Tour Golf Bets on there, covering the Corn Ferry Tour and Hotel Planner Tour. He's the most knowledgeable individual on those two tours specifically that you'll find. Fantastic stuff, and also putting us in ways of potential winners as he did last week at the Hotel Planner Tour, just to play off short. But either way, we're on there with that. Of course, you can find the Out of the Rough one and done on there as well, where we do the PJ Tour and DP World Tour all season long. Just a fun game to hop into, free to play. No really risk of not doing it. Pick a different golfer each week, prize money, user scoring. You can follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at NateOOTR. Be sure to follow Out of the Rough on all from the social media. Just search Out of the Rough, you'll find us. And beyond that, Jake, let's get into the content this week.
Yep.
All right, the WM Phoenix Open, we talked about it. At this point, you know what this event is. It is one of the most attended sporting events in basically history of sports, right? Not only uh, at one point in 2018, this event ranks third all time in terms of attendance with 216,000 fans for a single sporting event. Third all time. So that's the type of atmosphere we're getting here this week at TPC Scottsdale. This also, of course, coexists with the Super Bowl. So we have earlier tee times on Sunday, so it's done and over with and wrapped up and out of your minds before the Super Bowl starts. So keep that in mind too. If you're trying to place like some, two balls or three balls on Sunday, just know that you're going to have an earlier start than normal because of that. Yeah, so we get this stadium-esque atmosphere this week, which some golfers really do well in and some really do bad in. You're going to have wall-to-wall fans screaming, yelling at you up and down the sides. I wonder if Rory's ever played this event and how he would feel about the heckling of the fans. I'm not too sure. I'm thinking he's not going to enjoy it too much, but maybe that's why he joins at Pebble Beach and not here. Either way, field this week, of course, headlined by none other than Scotty Scheffler, a two-time winner of this event. And if I remember correctly, I think this is where he got his first PGA Tour victory back in, 21, 22. I think this is the same year that he went on to win the Masters for his first PGA Tour victory, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Uh,
2022.
2022. Okay, gotcha. So he's looking for his third title. He'll be joined by Xander Schauffele, J.J. Spawn, Ben Griffin, Harris English, Sepp Straka, Victor Hovland, Hideki Matsuyama, Chris Gotterup, Colin Morikawa, Cameron Young, Maverick McNeely, and Matt Fitzpatrick are those ranked within the top 120 or top 25 of the OWGR playing this week. Of course, Brooks Koepka back for his second PGA Tour start. And on top of that, this is the site of his last PGA Tour victory back in 2021, if you want to exclude the 2023 PGA Championship right here at Oak Hill where he won. But his, last PGA Tour victory was at this event back in 2021. So he's back this week. Of course, Thomas Dietrich, defending champion, won by 7 strokes for his maiden PGA Tour victory. And of course, he will not be back this week because he signed to live. So he will be in Radai. Either way, Nick Taylor in 24. Of course, that was Scotty and Koepka, who also won in 2015. Webb Simpson in 20, Ricky Fowler in 19, Gary Woodland in 18, and Matsuyama 17 and 16 as former champions playing this week. The TPC Scottsdale Stadium course has been the host of this event since 1987, places a par 71 at roughly 7,200 yards. Due to the elevation and the dryness of the Arizona desert causing firm conditions, this course offers annually the longest average driving distance on tour at roughly 305 feet. So yeah, if you're a long bomber, this kind of erases some of that. Perk you have off the tee with everyone else getting a boost in their distance as well. So when we're coming with long drives, this is a ball striker's paradise. Approach shots beyond 200 yards are a rarity, and those within 200 yards are the norm. Water's in play early and often, however, making it important for golfers to find the fairways off the tees. The course does feature 2-inch rough, but in relation to like what we saw last week at Torrey Pines, it's not really that peanut at all. Surrounding desert cacti and other vegetation for those who are really wayward off the tees that can cause fits. The event also features some of the easiest putting conditions on the PGA Tour. I think that is worth noting that you don't have to be a good putter or have a good putting week even necessarily to win at this golf event. This is a pure ball striker's paradise. And again, if you put the ball close enough and make a few putts, you're going to have be able to win here. We always relate back to Scotty Scheffler winning his first PGA Tour title here because that was back when he could not putt to save his life. He won here, but yeah, this is an event, and it's also a course and event where course history is very important, a direct correlation to success here. Beyond TBC Scottsdale, just Augusta National and Walhalla Country Club have more importance on course history, so that's worth noting when you're building your betting cards as well. Jake, and before we move forward.
No, I played this course on my bachelor party, so I have some hands-on experience here. Again, just to reiterate, there is no trouble off the tee if you avoid the hazards. So as long as you're not in the water in that cactus area, the rough poses no threat. If I was able to attack in quotes, if you're not watching this on video, I did air quotes there, attack this course with some distance and just get your wedges nice and close. The greens are very, very true here. you can definitely score here. I would project the winning score with the calm conditions that I'm seeing so far as the early forecast in the low 20s, which is a bit higher than what we're used to seeing, which I believe is like an average of, high teens over the last
Yep.
couple of years.
Did you play from the tips, Jake?
Yes, we did play from
Oh
the
wow.
tips, which,
Okay.
yeah, I play with some good golfers. I am not one of them, but I like to play from the tips.
There we go. All right, on to our betting cards this week. I know we have six people each, Jake, so I'll kick things off here. I'm going to Victor Hovland at 35 to 1. This just seems like a big number for, arguably the best pure iron player in the entire world, one of the best ball strikers the entire world has to offer. And at 35 to 1, I know Scotty Scheffler's in this field kind of elevated things and some other big names, but man, this seems like a big number for Hovland. I know recent form, not anything crazy. T14 in at the Hero Dubai Desert Chat, or he placed T14, yes, the Hero Dubai Desert Classic in his last outing. Back in December, he played the Nedbank Golf Challenge, the T23 there. Finished last season on tour and approximately the whole first there in 150 to 200, second on approach. Like that's basically what it boils down to here is looking at a guy who is again, not the best iron player, but the best pure iron player in the world, if that even makes sense, what I'm trying to say here. But in
Yep.
terms of just pure iron play, no one is better than Victor Hovland. And I'm just hanging my head on that essentially. At 35 to 1, just a big number for Victor Hovland.
Yeah, I definitely took a good look at him this week, Nate. And, what ultimately steered me away was that he's making his PGA Tour debut this week. So I haven't seen anything, unlike a lot of these other guys who've already teed it up a couple times. But I think that 35 is a huge number on the skill set that Hovland brings. It could be a recipe for success here for, I don't know if we'll see a 35 on Hovland the rest of the season unless it's a major, honestly. So I don't mind that play at all here.
Yeah, in terms of course history, not ideal. I think he placed uh, last played in 2013 or 2023, excuse me, where he was 42nd. Prior to that, missed cuts in 2022 and 20. So he does at least have played this course and has a made cut here at least. But beyond that, nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I agree. Nothing to write home, and course history can be a little sticky. But again, we've seen people come from worse and get wins here. So I like the play. But moving into my first play here, I went with Cameron Young at 32.5 to 1. He
Is that a
ranks second in my
Fanatics
model
line?
behind. Huh?
Is that a
Sorry.
Fanatics line?
No. So it was a
Oh,
mix of boost and just
okay. It
the
doesn't say
raw number. But
Fanatics. Once in a while, I'll catch like a half point on some of their lines.
yeah, it's a classic Fanatics one, not the DraftKings giveaway, but he ranks second in my model behind Scotty Scheffler, which just made him an automatic play for me at this
Yeah.
point. He finally got the monkey off his back last year with the win at the Wyndham Championship, and he carried some strong form to the end of the year. He opened the season with a T22 at the Farmers Insurance Open. I'm expecting him to build off of that. TPC Scottsdale is a great setup for Cam Young, in my opinion. He grades out above tour average in all the key metrics that are important this week. Um, he's gained or sorry, he's been really reliable at this event. He's never missed the cut in his four appearances. He's recorded two top 15 finishes in his two most recent starts. All those things combined for me to just love him this week. On the season, he's 20th in strokes gained total, 24th off the tee, 22nd on approach, 69th around the green, and 94th in putting. I just have to trust my model here and hope that he could take down Scotty.
Yeah, and that's the key stat there is takedown Scotty. And I've seen a lot of discussion about the without markets, and you can go whatever way you want with that. But yeah, I mean, if he's coming second in your model to Scotty Scheffler, there's something there. And Cam Young, of course, again, it used to be you want to bet Cam Young, and the elephant in the room is he just can't get it done. Has that done? I think some more are to follow. So why not quick progression, winning the end of last season and winning at the start of this season?
Yep.
All right, rolling right next my next play. I'm gonna keep my finger on the trigger here with Jake Knapp, 55 to 1. Great start to 2016 so far. Placed 11th at the Sony Open, then 5th last week at the Farmers Insurance Open. He's played this event each of the past two seasons with a 44th last year at 23rd in 2024. He finished last season on tour 7th in birdie or better, 14th in strokes gained putting overall, 16th in par 4, 35th in bogey avoidance, 39th in scrambling, 48th off the tee, 75th in ball striking and 104 an approach. One of those golfers that when he is hot, when he's in form, it just feels like he's in a superhuman state and can kind of win and take down anyone. I'm hoping that's the case this week. 55 to 1 coming off the back of the top five last week. I know that's, relatively speaking, because the winner won by 6 strokes. So it's kind of hard to be like, oh, it was a runner up last week or top five when Justin Rose completely lapped the field. But either way, a top five for Jake Lamp last week. You just keep running that train. A lot of meat in the bone at 55 to 1. So stay in there.
Yeah, I love the shout. He's fantastic off the tee and has a very, very good putter. Like you said, if the irons cooperate for Knapp, he could certainly win this tournament, and he could do it by multiple strokes, similar to what we saw Dietrich do. Moving into my next play here, I went with Brooks Koepka. I got him at 50 to 1. I'm happy to see him back on tour. It did not take much for me to get him on my betting card. He ranked 50th in my model, which obviously isn't great, but I saw enough hope last week to fire him up this week. Um, he made his return from Live last week. He made the cut and finished T56 at the Farmers Insurance Open. On the surface, you might ask, what the hell did you see, Jake, to fire him up this week? His ball striking and off the tee were just absolutely phenomenal. His short game, especially the putter, betrayed him last week. He was horrendous with the flat stick. But what was promising was on Sunday, he definitely started to get some rhythm with that putter. He vocalized in his interview that he's going to be working on the putter and that what he saw on the greens was just absolutely unacceptable from his standpoint. What I love about Koepka is that he's fighting for starts on the PGA Tour. He is hungry to get the wins, to qualify for those elevated events, get back into his current full form, and get into a full PGA Tour card ultimately. We've seen Koepka play his best golf when he has that chip on his shoulder. He is hungry for that win, and I'm happy to fire him up with the talent level at the number I got him at.
Yeah, his putting was like so bad last week. I think he lost almost 8 strokes. I know it was over
Yeah.
7 in 3 rounds. So that isn't ideal. But again, you're talking about a guy that at one point was known as like the major killer, a guy who just wins majors at will. And when he it just appeared that when he wanted to or when he tried, he was one of the best golfers in the world. And again, we're getting back to that because he's hungry. He wants to be here. He's proven that with this system that he's in to get reinstated to the PGA Tour. And again, he's not given anything at this point. He has to earn most of his starts, as you mentioned. So, got to get some good results put back to back to back to keep things rolling. And again, see him in some of these bigger events in the future.
Yeah, Nate, like you said, this was his last tour on the his last win on the PGA Tour. He's played this event 5 times. He has 2 wins, another top five. He's made the cut in all 5 appearances. It's a place he's comfortable playing, and I think that this is a good spot for him to find that form and possibly get that win that would get him into more of these events.
Now, you mentioned at the top of the show here that we probably won't see a 35 to 1 next to Victor Hovland's name. If Brooks Koepka goes on to win here, we'll never see a 50 or 60 next to his name again for as long as he's golfing, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
All right, next play here. I don't know why I did this, guys. I kind of just blacked out. Keith Mitchell, 80 to 1. Man, I've been here done this to myself too many times to keep doing this, but here we are. I mean, last season he was sixth on tour in birdie or better. He was 10th in par fours, 11th in ball striking, 13th off the tee, 41st in scrambling, 50th in bogey avoidance, 65th on approach. The list goes on and on. Good start to the season. 11th last week at the Farmers, 44th at the American Express, 66th in Hawaii. Also played this event. He's played this event a lot and has played it rather well. 25th here a season ago, 17th in 24, 42nd in 23, 10th in 22, missed the cut in 21, and 16th in 2020. Kashmir Keith, it's coming down. If there's an event for Kashmir Keith to win again on the PGA Tour, it's got to be here at the Sony Open in Hawaii. 80 to 1, just a huge number to take a poke at here. It's not like I'm betting him 35 to 1 in this field. 80 to 1. And again, when things are kind of rolling, he's really good at golf. Like, I think people
Yeah.
forget about that. I think they kind of meme him away. He's really good at golf, and he's just he needs like the perfect conditions to do so. And as you stated at the top of the hour, the weather looks to be in a way that may benefit Keith Mitchell this week. He can get birdies in a hurry. He plays excellent golf when everything settles down. So 80 to 1, Kashmir Keith. Let's cash this ticket, buddy.
Yeah, Nate, I love the call. I wrote him up for my DFS section. I ended up deleting it and
Yep,
replacing him with a
that's usually what
different
happens.
person. Yeah. But I'm for sure going to be playing him in some fashion in DFS. I love the outright call, honestly, because like you said, the putter is not the end all be all, and he's an awesome off the tee and approach player. So if he can just get the putter to not be abysmal, I think he's very live because the wins knock on wood, looks
Yeah.
rather calm this week. And stealing a quote from someone in our Discord, when the wind blows, so does Steve Mitchell.
Shout out
So
Titanic.
yeah, so hopefully the wind stays calm for you, Nate.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Moving into my next play here, this was my first click. I was betting him no matter what. I was happy to get a 55 next to his name. Sahith Theegala, one of my favorite golfers. If you know me, you know Sahith. He ranked 35th in my model. Didn't care where he came in. He was getting a bet anyway. He battled some injuries last year, but he came out firing in 2026 this year. Three consecutive made cuts, back-to-back top 10 finishes in his last two starts. He heads to a venue where he is very comfortable. He's made the cut in all four career appearances at TPC Scottsdale. He posted two top five finishes in those four. So it's one of those where he easily could win. Um, he also could have easily won in one of those if not for a very unfortunate bounce into the water late in the day on Sunday. His short game is starting to resemble the magic that we've seen him have at his best. His driving and ball striking to start the year has been incredible. This is a guy who I've followed since he's been on the PGA Tour. I think the stars are aligning for Tigala to get it done this week. Hopefully, Scotty Scheffler makes room for him to make his way in there. But on the 2026 season, 24th in strokes gained total, 127th off the tee, 84th on approach, 15th around the green, and 15th putting. I just, I, he's one of my favorite guys. He's coming to a place where he's super comfortable. It was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, it's good to see him slightly turning things around. He's playing much more competent golf, putting himself up in, at least his name's popping up some leaderboards here and there at this point. But it's just a matter of time, right? He's going to get back to the point where he was when he won in the fall series and get himself into contention, here and in other events. And this is one of those events that he definitely can compete at and has the game to do so.
Yep.
All right, so my first click this week was Sepp Straka at 90 to 1, a massive number. That's it, right? Sepp Straka, you know, I know he missed the cut in his only appearance so far in the season, American Express. Prior to that, the last time we saw him was his third place finish of the Hero World Challenge. However, finished seventh on tour on approach last year, 16th in birdie or betters, 26th on a bogey avoidance, 27th approximate hole from 150 to 200, 37th in ball striking, 41st putting, 42nd in par 4, 52nd off the tee, and 96th in scrambling. Placed 15th here a season ago, also 66 in 2022, missed the cut in 2021 and 20. We have a top 15 here in the last few seasons, or last season. This is the type of course that just screams Sepp Straka to me. This is an elite ball striker, an elite iron player, a guy who doesn't get in trouble off the tee and has a top, more than top, a well above average putter when it comes to all things. I know, it's kind of been kind of iffy at the end of last season and all that translation. No one knows exactly what happened or, if it was health, family, whatever it was. But it seems to be back. Head seems right. And this just seems like an event for Sepp Straka to come in here at 90 to 1, though. Just a number I just could not leave out there.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all, Nate. It's just that's a pure talent play next to a huge number. We've seen him. We've seen him win. He had one of his best, years a couple years ago on the PGA Tour, just rattling off wins and just
Yeah, last
punching
year won
well.
twice.
Yeah, right. So I can't fault you at all. I definitely considered it. I went some alternate routes. You're going to hear some ridiculous names, and you're going to think, Jake, why the hell did you pick these names over Sepp Straka? And quite honestly, I don't really have an answer for you because Straka has proven that he can win, and it's a big number next to his name again. So I like the call there, Nate.
There we go.
Nate, we're gonna go, I think, every other tournament between us, but bet this guy every single week. I'm on Pearson Coody 75 to 1 this week. I started the season with him, was off of him last week when you took him. Runner-up finish last week. I'm back on him at 75 to 1. He ranked 20th in my model. And he's had a lightning hot start to 2026 that made him just impossible to ignore for me. He opened the season with three consecutive top 20 finishes. Again, I noted that he had a runner-up finish last week. I think that the WM Phoenix Open is a great spot for him. He's length off the tee. He's incredible tee to green, very solid approach game, reliable short game as well. I just think the game is lining up, the form is lining up for him to have a really good week and possibly win. He's 15th in strokes gained total, 21st off the tee, 67th on approach, 26th around the green, and 57th putting. That's above tour average in every facet of the game to start the 2026 season. 75 to 1 was a big enough number for me to take my shot on. Again, I'm going to say this after every single golfer. I just pray that Scotty Scheffler gets the hell out of the way for some of my guys to have a good week this week and win.
Yeah, I'm slowly becoming a Cootie fan. I know we talked about this last week, and then he goes on to have a run-out finish last week. Just plays golf in such an exciting and electric way without being, an outspoken voice. Like it's just the way he plays golf is so fun, so entertaining, and I love everything about it. So I'm gonna be a little upset if I'm on him, but he doesn't win. But just as a fan of him, I'm slowly becoming a Cootie guy for sure.
Yep.
All right, so I got two plays left here. We're going long on these two, not as long as the first one. Davis Thompson at 125 to 1. Back-to-back quality performances to start this season here. uh Excuse me, at this event. T or 36 last year, 15th in 2024. He missed the cut in 2023 here. However, his season hasn't been that great so far. 43rd last week at the Farmers, missed the cut at the American Express, although on the number. Finished last season 11th on tour in approximate hole from 150 to 200, 17th off the tee, 24th in ball striking, 36th in birdie or better. We know what we're getting out of Davis Thompson. We need a guy who can putt. And he's not one of those. But again, this is a golf course that you can get away with bad putting. This is a super young and talented former world number one amateur who has the ability to win on the PGA Tour 2 years ago doing it. I think it was John Deere where he did it, if I remember correctly, somewhere around that area. Either
Yep.
way, just a great talent, great ball striker, great approach player. Just needs some putts to fall. And if this is a week where a putter doesn't really need much of happening, Davis Thompson is real live to win.
Yeah, Nate, I can tell that you waited off the tee and approach heavily in your model between him and Keith Mitchell because like you said, these guys rank out incredible off the tee to green. These are some of the premier
Hmm.
talents to get to that point, and then it's just the around the green and putting that these guys tend to struggle. But like you said, this is the place for these people to be successful. And I think 125 to 1, I believe you said on Davis Thompson,
Yep,
that's a huge number on a guy who already has a PGA Tour victory and shapes up really well for TPC Scottsdale. So I like the shout there.
perfect.
I have two long shots left. I'm going to go with the first one here. Hao Tong Lee, 125 to 1, ranked ninth in my model. I was like, what the hell is this? I looked at the stats. Holy ball striking. This guy came to the PGA Tour and his irons are, I would be shocked if they weren't second behind Scotty Scheffler, even overtaking him at number one because of how hot they are to start. He opened the year with three consecutive made cuts, back-to-back top 15 finishes in his two most recent starts. Again, heavily backed by his elite ball striking numbers. But he also has a pretty strong off the tee game and a competent short game to pair that with. He's no stranger to winning. He's a four-time DP World Tour victor. I'm backing him to just ride that ball striking, which is so important at TPC Scottsdale to get his first PGA Tour victory. I know that he's only had a couple of starts, but his 2026 PGA Tour strokes gained data, 13th total, 13th off the tee, 13th on approach, 70th around the green, and 112th putting. I I saw those numbers, my jaw kind of just drops, and I said 125 to 1 for a guy ranked ninth in my model and who has those numbers to support it. I'm gonna blindly do that 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, and I believe this is like the last victory he had was a year ago in Qatar at this point, which is the opposite DP event this week. But
Yep.
either way, the concern for Hotang has always been the short game around the green, the putting. As long as you get that rolling, he's been a great iron player for as long as he's been on professional tours. But this is the first time the PGA Tour and kind of, and he's a personality. He's fun to watch. He's fun to have interviews with and follow around. So again, maybe this is a guy who thrives in this type of environment where the stadium's on Ho Tong Lee's back as they. I'm going to assume they are with the way he's receptive
Yep.
on the Twitter and everything. So, good call there, Jake.
Yep.
All right, final play here. I won't bore you too much because it's 400 to 1 for William Mao. Taking a page out of Jake's book here, he seems to be on this guy quite a bit in these higher numbers. But either way, just a massive number for a guy who finished last season ninth on tour in ball striking, 27th in par 4, 40th off the tee, 42nd in bogey avoidance, 48th in birdie or better, 56th in putting, 64th in scrambling, 88th in approximate hole from 150 to 200, and 150th on approach. So far this season, it's been really bad. 71 in Sony, missed the cut in back-to-back the American Express and Farmers Insurance Open. But again, 400 to 1, we're not looking for a polished guy here. This is a guy who won last season on the PGA Tour and a very, very good ball striker on beyond that. A guy with some decent off the tee numbers and a decent putter. The approach numbers pretty bad, but beyond that, 400 to 1. Why not? Just a few pennies up there to make a bunch back.
Yeah, Nate, not much to add there. Again, we can't really complain about a 400 to 1
Yeah,
guy.
no.
If it happens, you look like a genius. If not, you took your shot
Yeah,
and
it's 400 to
move on.
1.
And Phillips had a solid finish for me last week. He didn't get it done, but I'm hoping that Mal gets it done for you because, those 400 to 1 winners pay some dividends, especially with how you use your units. So that would be nice.
It would.
Moving into my last play here, I'm not going to bore you. I talk about this guy every freaking week. It's Max Homa, 125 to 1, ranked 6th in my model. Again, I didn't need more of a push than that to just fire him up again this week. Just to keep it simple, started the season with the 27th at the Amex, thought he would build off of it, ended up missing the cut at the Farmers Insurance Open. He got crushed on the greens. His short game was abysmal. He got absolutely crushed. Again, that's not characteristic of Homo. When you think of him over the long term, he's a very solid short game guy. I'm willing to throw that start out, going to keep building off of that fall swing that he had that starts of the season at the Amex that was rather solid. We're coming to TPC Scottsdale where the greens roll very true. And for a good golfer like Max Homa, I think that this is a place that he could thrive at and really start to get his game back. He's had some good finishes here, more towards the earlier side of his career than the more recent stuff. But again, I'm on Homa 125 to 1. I think the talent with those odds, I can't pass up.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And again, I figured you'd be on him the way he's playing. It's not like he's playing himself to the point where it's like, why are you betting him? Like, it's still a big number to bet him and back him. But, it's still enough where, there's still an outside hope that there's a realistic way that he wins in a golf event soon.
Yeah, he's gained with his irons in 10 straight, and he's gained off the tee in 8 of his last 10. Like, it's not like he's completely lost here.
Yep. Well, guys, that's it for the WM Phoenix Open. Jake, anything to add before we move forward?
Just one thing, I was shocked by Ricky Fowler's odds. I really wanted to bet him, but at like 40 to 1, I just
Yeah,
couldn't.
no, yep, no. It must be course history or something because no, thank you.
Yeah, that was my only ad, but it pained me. I wanted to, and I just couldn't do it.
All right. Well, there's that. WM Phoenix Open this week. Gonna be a fun one. Get her a nice kickoff to Super Bowl Sunday, Super Bowl weekend with some WM Phoenix Open as we always do. It's always a great one to track. All
Yep.
right, one more event to talk about this week. We have the Qatar Masters, which obviously takes place in Qatar. This was once regular season, the regular season finale on the DP World Tour 2 years ago. It moved to its now early slot within the international swing in the winter, at least in relation to Jake and I, winter months, right? I don't know
Yeah.
what it is over there, but this is also the final week in the Middle East for the DP World Tour before a week off, and then they head to Kenya for the Magical Kenya Open and continuation of the international swing. This event was been part of the schedule since 1998, and yeah, it's been pretty much played here at the Hawk Golf Club for all of except 2020 and 2021 when some renovations and it was played at Education City then. Field this week, of course, Patrick Reed continues to headline as, news broke recently that he's leaving Live and going to play a full DP World Tour season to better his status to return to the PGA Tour after a late August allowing date. So he's back this week. We have the likes of Jaden Schapper, Andy Sullivan, Julian Guerre, Daniel Hilliard, Nacho Avira, Wenye Din, Dan Bradbury, Marcus Armitage, and Eugenia Shakara as notable players playing this week. Ho Tong Lee, I mentioned it, defending champion, will not be back this week to defend his title because he is, of course, on the PGA Tour now. Rasmus Niergaard Peterson was the runner-up a season ago, same thing on the PGA Tour. Some other winners, you have Rakua Hashinya in 24, Ewan Ferguson in 22, Anton Rosner in 21, Jorge Campillo in 20, Justin Harding in 19, Eddie Pepperell in 2018, Chris Wood in 2013, and Darren Fishart in 2003. The Doha Golf Club in Doha, Qatar, plays as a par 72 at 7,466 yards, a Peter Harradine design. He was also responsible for the Abu Dhabi Golf Club. This course underwent some significant changes between the 2019 and 2022 editions, as I mentioned with the brief stint away here. Greens of the par 5 ninth and 18th holes were combined to form one big green. Additionally, all the greens were changed from a Bermuda to a strain of past palm called Dynasty Grass. The majority of the greens were expanded back to the original sizes and reverted back to the original slopes and elevation. The fairways this week run average in terms of width, and the rough is essentially non-penal. There is water in play on 6 holes. That's 3, 8, 9, 13, 15, 18. Both the front and back 9, and on a par 5 as well. The 4 par 5s featured this week must be attacked as the annually average a score below par. The drivable par 4/16 is also the easiest hole on the golf course. It's a very exposed desert track, susceptible to high winds that will play its part in the outcome this week. We've seen the likes of Ewan Ferguson in 2022 shoot a final round of 70 to win here by one stroke. We've also seen some super low scoring, so it just depends what the winds want to do. Kinda same old stink to be talking about the last month in the desert. Jake, anything to add before we move forward?
No, I think you covered it all.
All right, so I have six guys this week. Jake has three, so I'll kick things off here to try to keep a little bit of pace going. Wenye Ding at 40 to 1. So the last two winners I've hit here, Rakia Hashino in 2014 and Hotang Li in 2015. What do they have in common? Asian descent, Wenye Ding, Chinese. We're going back three-peat in a row here for myself in the Asian development tour over there. We're going to get ourselves a 40 to 1 winner with Wenye Ding. Currently third on tour in putting. He's seventh in par fives, 11th birdie or better, 12th around the green, 26th in scrambling, 30th in bogey avoidance, 64th in driving distance, 73rd in green regulations, and 91st on approach. He missed the cut last week of the Babco Energies Bahrain Championship, which is a good thing because it helps his number this week, in my opinion. Prior to that, though, 19th at the Hero Dubai, 18th at the Crown Australian, and second at the BMW Australian PGA Championship. This is a guy, a young up and coming player from China, but he is so good at putting. It is unreal that someone as young as he is, because usually the better putters on tour are the matured golfers who have been around for a long time. No, Wenye Ding just instantly stepped on the DP Earl Tour as like the best putter they have to offer. Plays the par fives well, around the green, brilliant, has plus distance off the tee. What else could you ask for here at Wenye Ding? 40 to 1, becoming the third straight Asian to win this event.
Yeah, Nate, I love the call. He's one of my favorite players on the DP World Tour. I think that with a good season this year, he's really qualified to be in
Mhm.
that promotion to the PGA Tour. Again, might be young to win on the PGA Tour, but I guess we'll see how the season progresses for him. I heavily considered him if I didn't go the route I did, which was play the top of the board and then just take two long shots. He would 100% be on my card. So I do have a lot of FOMO when it comes to him. I think it's a great call. I think it's a great spot for him. The stars are aligning. I could see it through the hoop this week, Nate. I really like the call there.
Let's get it. I've been dry for a bit here.
Yeah. All right. Moving into my first play here, it's Daniel Hillier. I got him at 14.75 to 1. Thank you, DraftKings. I don't know what you are on, but I'll take it. This guy has just been playing way too consistently good to not win, to the point where I was between him and Patrick Reed, and I said, whichever one has the higher number, I'm going to take and just move forward. I'm at the point, I'm at a very good spot on the DP World Tour. I need one more winner to be profitable in the season. It is so early, and I think that Hillier is going to get across the finish line sooner rather than later. This guy has been peppering top five finishes to start the year. He's been very good on the greens. He's been very good on approach, elite off the tee. Everything is clicking. This guy just does not have a great around the green game. That's his only fault. He's played this tournament three times, two top 25 finishes to speak of. I just think it's way too good a form to not get across the finish line at this event. 22nd in driving accuracy, 41st in driving distance, fourth in greens and regulation, ninth in stroke average. Just he's playing too well, Nate. I couldn't ignore the close to 15 to 1 number that was posted.
Yeah, you and I have both been on the last 2 weeks, and I wanted to go back there. The number was super small, so I went elsewhere. But I get it. I get it. The form, not only to start this season, but the end of last season as well, is out of this world. It's got to happen sooner rather than later. And again, he plays desert golf really well, as not only this season has proven, but his past course histories at the relative in relation to other courses as well. So a great call there, Jake. And again, constructing your card in a way where it allows you to take who you think is going to win this event, and that's how it's supposed to be done.
Yep.
All right, rolling back along here. Jorge Campillo is my next bet here at 40 to 1. Great at this event over his past 5 seasons. He placed 50th a season ago, fifth in 2024, runner up in 2023, 50 or 65th in 2022, and 20th in 2021. Placed 16th last week at the Babco Energies Bahrain Championship, 19th at the Hero Dubai Desert, 23rd at the Alfred Dunhill, and 23rd at the Nedbank Golf Challenge. So far this season, he's third on tour on approach, ninth in bogey avoidance, 32nd in scrambling, 34th in average driving distance, 46th in green regulations, 50th in putting, 80th in birdie or better, 84th in par fives, and 101st around the green. So yes, a guy that has a very, very long and good course history here with a top five and a runner-up in the last 4 seasons at this golf course. Can't ignore that. Good start to the season as well, and his irons are dialed right now. He's third on tour and approach, so got to keep riding Jorge Campillo. I was on him last week as well.
Yeah, Nate, I almost went with the Hillier Campillo card and called it a day, but I elected for two other guys. I Another guy, he just missed my card. Um, like you said, coming in great form, great course history, great course fit. Just again, just all the stars aligning. I between the two of us, I love our cards so much that I'm scared for us that of how it's going
Yeah,
to turn out.
no, they're all
But
miscuts.
exactly, but I really like the call on Campillo. I could totally see it with him this week, and again,
We
for
can
your
sure hope
sake,
so.
hopefully he gets it done. Um, Instead of Campillo, I ended up going for Henny Duplessis at 64 to 1. Again, thank you, DraftKings. Stupid number. We'll move on. Um, just playing some very solid golf. I was on him last week. He finished T16. He started the season very well. Three top 25 finishes in a row. He's played this event five times in his career. He's made the cut in all five, highlighted by a top 20 finish in 2021. On the season to start, 42nd in stroke average, 44th in average putts per round, 49th in putts per green in regulation, 53rd in greens in regulation, 36th in driving distance. He's not a young buck per se. He's 29 years old. He's been around the block here. In some good form, has played this course or played this tournament a bunch of times. I thought 64 was a big number to take a chance on him, for him to hopefully get his first DP World Tour victory.
Yeah, and if anything, it's just fun to say his name, Henny Duplessis. Like you want to see him win, and you want to just keep saying that name. No, great
Yeah,
golfer. Been around for a while. Of course, had a little bit of a slump there for a bit. Was on the DP World Tour last season, then returned this year. A guy. This is another South African who, of course, play links and then in turn play desert golf rather well, as history has proven. So we'll see what comes of it. But 64 to 1 for Henny is a good number as well. All right, I got three long shots this week. The first of which is Manuel Oliveira at 100 to 1. Currently 17th on tour in par 5s, 23rd in scrambling, 24th in bogey, 25th in birdie or better, 31st in distance, 37th on approach, 47th around the green, 50th in green relations, and 73rd in putting. So some great stats all around from top to bottom. Top 75 and all those stats I talked about. 41st last week in Bahrain, 61st in Dubai, 7th at Emirates, and 46th at the Alfred Dunhill. Also played this event each of the past two seasons, the 25th a season ago and T13th in 2024. So again, another Spaniard who has some good course history and some good form coming into it. And yeah, stats line up rather well. Nothing, jumps off the page at me crazy, but they're all, most of the stats are top 50, a bunch of top 25s, and all top 75 for all the stats I took consideration this week. So 100 to 1 for a really well run guy. And we saw Nacho Oliveira win once this season. Why can't Manuel?
yeah, Nate, can't fault you there. 100 to 1 on the DP World Tour. It's really hard to, you know, have any fight against that just because of, there's so much randomness on this tour.
Yes.
But again, I if the stats are aligning, he looks like he's building up some form in, the recent weeks from 61st to 41st, having the course history here, 25th last year, like you mentioned, just a good play to hopefully build up and have a shot this week at triple digits.
That's all I can ask for.
Yeah, exactly. My last play here, I had to go with a guy who's played this course extremely well. It's Anton Rosner. He has not played this course well, particularly. 65 to 1, forgot to mention. The number is just big on a guy who I think is super talented. I bet him on the PGA Tour. Why wouldn't I bet him on the DP World Tour? He has struggled the last couple of weeks. He's missed back-to-back cuts at the Hero Dubai Desert Classic and then the Bahrain Championship. Before that, he had a T10 at the Dubai Invitational and a T14 at the Alfred Dunhill Championship. He's still trying to get his feet back under him at the DP World on the DP World Tour. And I think that this is the perfect spot for him. He brings distance off the tee, a great approach game, and he can pour in putts. When he has the flat stick rolling, he can certainly get it done. He won this tournament back in 2021. The last 2 years, 2025 or 2024 and 2025, he has a fourth and sixth place finish respectively. So he's comfortable here on this golf course. I think 65 is a big number and a guy who doesn't have the recent form, which is what I weigh pretty heavily on the DP World Tour, but has the tournament history and the skill set to be successful here.
Yeah, and a guy that was on the PJ Tour all of last season just got demoted back down. Either way, a top tier talent for the DP World Tour. If you've ever promoted yourself out of there once, you can do it again. And doing so, you need a lot of strong finishes or a victory. And Antoine Rosner has historically been very good at the start of seasons. Most of his victories, off the top of my head at least, have come with the start of the season and the winter months, or whatever you want to call them, months on the early part of the schedules. But yeah, just an elite ball striker, great iron player. Can really plow himself around any golf course on any given week.
Yeah, he won the Mauritius in 2023, the Dubai Championship in 2020, and the Qatar Masters in 2021. So all early in
Yep.
the season, like you mentioned.
All right. Running back through. I got two guys left. That's your end of your card, right, Jake?
Yep.
All right, I got two guys real quick for you because they're real long shots. Nicholas Lemke at 150 to 1. Consistent to start the season, 24th in at Bahrain, 67th in Dubai, 32nd in Marathas, and 32nd at the Alfred Dunhill. 10th on tour and grid regulations, 18th in Bogavoyens, 35th in scrambling, blah, blah, blah. Good stats. Why not? Good course history here as well. T10 last year, T21 and 23, missed the cut in 2022, and T9 in 2021. So we're talking two top 10 since 2021, a top 10 a season ago, a guy that's playing rather well, at least consistently well, no missed cuts so far at 150 to 1. Had to go that way. And then final place, Anthony Quall at 200 to 1. 31st last week at Bahrain. Prior to that, 9th at Marathas. Missed the cut, the Crown Australian, but 7th at the BMW Australian PGA. 7th on tour in putting, 12th in par fives, 13th on approach, 14th in scrambling and putting, 12th in par five, or excuse me, 24th in distance, 27th in birdie or better, 39th in green relations, and 119 around the green. Making his tournament debut as well, but a huge number for a guy who the stats tell me he has a chance this week. But again, just DP World Tour darts. It's not like we have the Scotty Schefflers of the world to worry about here. Like if Anthony Quall has a lead, there's a chance that he's not going to be chased down as if someone 201 in the PJ Tour has a lead and I see Scotty Scheffler 8 back. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm going to lose this.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's it for that event as well, Jake. Anything to add before we move forward?
I know. I think we covered it all.
All right. So next week we have the first signature event of the season, ATT Pebble Beach Pro Am, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I don't know why signature events a pro am. I think they need to do away with that. Blah blah blah. Two, what is it? Three courses, rotation, stupid stuff. Anyway, move
Yep.
on from that. Let's move on. But we have that next week for signature event, the Genesis, and kind of the season's really getting rolling there. The PGA DP World Tour is off next week because they're moving to Kenya, so we'll be there for a little bit in Africa. Of course, we still have things like Live starts this week if you're into that. LPGA started last week, has a few more weeks back off before they kind of get their real season going in Asia to start. Corn Fair, of course, is rolling. Hotel Planet Tour is rolling. All of that is rolling. We have it all at ootrough.com. Whatever tour you can think of, essentially, at least those five or six I listed off there, have a full breakdown each and every week on our website. So make sure you're checking all that out because, again, it's free of charge, so why not check it out? Jake, where can people find you on social media before we get off here?
Yep, you can follow me on X at JakeOOTR. I share all my outright betting cards on there. I'd also encourage you to join the Out of the Rough Discord. Again, 100% free to join with no hidden paywalls. The community includes 250 plus members and is an excellent free resource to have at your disposal. Just reach out to Nate or myself and we'll get you the link to join that.
You can follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at NateOOTR. Be sure to follow Out There Off on all of social media. Check out everything we have to offer, guys. We put a ton of work into this each and every week. Not only this podcast, but every article, every tweet, every chart, every Discord post, all of that. It's just a real passion of ours. So just check it out. Fancy us, give us a little tickle, and check our stuff out. But that's it for this week, and we'll see you all next week.